Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Corinna Coffin here in my kitchen. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Corinna Coffin here, Spartan protein athlete, registered dietitian, and today we are making cauliflower mac and cheese, or I should say cauliflower with a no cheese sauce, just because I don't have cheese in my fridge, but I'm going to show you a really easy, super nutritious and tasty way to make a cheese sauce without cheese. So let's get right into it. Right now I have some cauliflower rice sauteing in a pan here, kind of medium-high heat. It's been on for about 5 minutes, and it really doesn't need that much longer to cook and get soft the way we want to eat it. Last night I went ahead and just grated. I just used my grater here, a whole head of cauliflower. You can see this is the rest of it, so it made quite a lot. I'm just going to do a little section for now, might come back later and make a little bit more. You can grate the cauliflower like I did. You can put it in a Cuisinart. You can also just chop it really finely. I found that when I used my Vitamix blender, it just kind of got stuck in the bottom. So I don't recommend that unless I was doing it completely wrong. So really simple ingredients here today. We've talked about different ways to use grains. So, day one was that orzo salad. Yesterday was the quinoa. Now this is a totally grain-free recipe, which some of you may like, some of you may not have cauliflower. I tell you, any vegetable, honestly, could really work for this. If you have broccoli, great. If you have a bag of frozen veggies and just want to make a fun, cheesy sauce for this, I mean, that would totally work too. So, and also if you just have pasta or any type of grain, this also works perfectly for that. So, really simple here. I'm going to try to do it all sitting down because I can't really stand and stay in the frame here. Salt and pepper, just with my cauliflower as it sautés, a little bit of oil. I'm going to add a little bit of garlic because garlic always makes everything taste better. And as we talked about in a previous episode, garlic has a lot of really great properties, but the biggest one I would say and most relevant at this point in time is that, it does have compounds that act as an antiviral, antibacterial. So why not? It's not necessarily going to protect us or cure us from any type of virus per se that's out there, but it wouldn't hurt to include in our diet. So again, I'm just going to throw that right in. Now, to get to the creamy no cheese sauce, a couple different options. Yesterday I worked with our breakfast quinoa. I used coconut milk. I'm going to use the same. Again, I told you guys I'm running a little bit low on milk, so I want to be mindful of that. So I only have full fat coconut milk, which is totally fine because we can get to that creamy, liquidy layer underneath once we puncture through. So I open this up, full fat. It's definitely creamy. I'm going to use that cream in another recipe another time, but in the meantime, I'm just going to make a little hole in there. And I'm just going to, again, this is my milk substitute, so don't have to use coconut milk, I just choose to. So I'm eyeballing everything. I don't really have a recipe per se, like to follow strictly. This isn't baking, so that's the nice thing. I'm just gonna fill it so it's covering or coating the cauliflower here. If you wanna get crazy and have a lot of cheese sauce, you can absolutely make it a little thicker. Now, the best part here and my favorite thing to make no cheese sauce with is this nutritional yeast. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know I love nutritional yeast. It is actually, and it sounds weird, but it's fungus that's grown on molasses and it's cultivated off of it. So high in protein. In, I think, 2 tablespoons of this, there are 14 grams of protein. So it's pretty incredible. There are some carbohydrates in it too, which is absolutely fine. This is pretty much a very low carbohydrate meal if that's something you're looking for. I personally love carbohydrates, so that's not an issue for me. But I'm gonna use about a 1/4 cup here. Oops. Like I said, I'm a mess in the kitchen. If you're not making a mess, I think you're doing it wrong. So I'm gonna sprinkle, and again, we can kind of play this by taste. Sprinkle about a 1/4 cup. And it's also gonna give us this nice, beautiful yellow flavor, which we like our cheese sauce to look like. I made a mess. The cauliflower's soaking up the coconut a little bit, so I do have a little bit of milk on hand, so I might add that as well. And again, this recipe is just up to you and your taste buds. So if you want more milk, like I said, if you want it to be more cheesier, if you have cheese on hand and just want to make it using cheese, you really just need cheese, milk, a little bit of butter, some spices, which I'll add here in a second. But yeah, so we've got a little bit of yellow flavoring here. It's not the prettiest looking meal, but it's gonna be so tasty. Okay, so flavoring wise, we have our garlic, a little bit of salt and pepper. I'll probably add a little bit more. We have our nutritional yeast. I mean, aside from the high protein content, it also is really high in fiber. It's very high in B vitamins. So actually a lot of vegans and vegetarians use nutritional yeast as like a staple in their diet because it's a great way to get B vitamins, which we know B12 is predominantly in animal products. Okay, so as you can see here, our sauce is getting a nice little boil here. We don't really need it to be all that hot. It just needs to kind of simmer. So I'm gonna let this soak in all the flavors that we've added in so far. Taste test is always good at this time, so I'm going to try it out. That's delicious already. I think all it really needs at this point is some seasoning. So what we're gonna do, use a little bit of salt. Now, I told you the other day, I am definitely a spice girl, so love some red chili flakes in everything. I'm going to add that here, give it a little bit of a kick. And then one of my favorite things to add, as I talked about, I think it was in the orzo salad, I added it to the salad dressing, turmeric. And turmeric's gonna give us this awesome, bright, deep, kind of orangey yellow look to our cauliflower mac and cheese, which is gonna make it look even more realistically cheese-like. So if you're trying to convince kiddos or your husband or wife or partner that this is a really good tasting meal, because it is, but they need some convincing, I like adding some turmeric, and it falls right in with this nice, beautiful color profile that we've got going on. A couple tablespoons or teaspoons if you're kind of new to turmeric and maybe still getting used to the taste that it has, but again, I am kind of impartial to it. I don't really taste it all that much. And that's about it, guys. I mean, really, it's so simple. I think you can make this pretty much with whatever you have. I'm sure if nutritional yeast is a new kind of concept to you, you probably don't have this on hand in your kitchen, which is totally fine. So if you don't have the nutritional yeast, a little bit of actual cheese, whatever you have on hand, with some milk, with maybe a little bit of butter, a little bit of oil, add it into your cauliflower, maybe some spices if you do have, even curry could be a fun little option to change the taste up a little bit. But I think it's beautiful. Look at that. We've got, you know, we've got such rich color in here. It's a no grain, fairly low calorie meal. We've added the protein in it. I mean, let's go through our checklist here. We've talked about protein, carbs, and fat. Do we have a representation of everything in here? We do have fat from our coconut milk, which we used as kind of that base. We have our protein from our nutritional yeast. Again, if you were using cheese or milk, that combination together will provide a really great and high-ish amount of protein. And then for carbohydrates, we have some in our nutritional yeast. We're probably getting the most from our cauliflower. It's not a starchy vegetable by any means, so it's just gonna be lower in carbs, and that's okay, depending what you're looking for. So thank you all for joining me. Next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll be here with you in the kitchen cooking up some more yummy, delicious recipes. So drop comments below. Let me know what you want to see. Happy to cater to your guys' wants and needs for next week. Awesome, guys. Have a great weekend.